Have you just started editing video for the first time this year? And have you realized how long it can actually take to cut down your videos?
Hours. Sometimes to like 10 o'clock at night, sometimes to like 6. Yeah.
Really?
All the time.
Every day?
Every day.
Wow.
As tedious as editing can be, it doesn't always have to take as long as it has been. Whether you're editing talking head videos for YouTube or editing cinematic vlogs, I got 7 sweet tips to cut down your editing time in half. Or at least something close to it. Let's go! Fam, mga kapatid, welcome to what I'm calling my tamis tutorials, because I promise you're not going to want to miss this. Here we go, starting with number 1, keyboard shortcuts. Why is it that many videographers like me use programs or software like Adobe Premiere, Final Cut Pro, or DaVinci Resolve instead of Windows Movie Maker or iMovie? Well, one big reason is keyboard shortcuts. Now, when you're just starting out, there are really 4 main functions, 4 main keys that you really want to worry about when cutting your footage. And that is splitting your clip, cutting beginning to the playhead, cutting the end to the playhead, and delete. Or if you're using DaVinci Resolve or Premiere, ripple delete. Here's a demonstration of using those shortcuts. If you don't already have keyboard shortcuts customized to your liking, I have a free download link in my description for my Final Cut Pro 10 shortcuts found in the description. Number 2, editing backwards. Why is it that someone like me who shoots and edits chronologically actually be editing backwards? It's because my best takes are usually the last ones. How do you like that? Using the same keyboard shortcuts, we just leveled up and got +2 speed on our editing. Number 3, just cut without the distraction. I know it can be pretty exciting to see your edit coming together. You get to add your titles, transitions, and maybe some other generators and effects. However, one of the best tips that allows me to edit faster is sitting down and batching my tasks in my workflow. Ideally, when you're just starting your project, you don't want to color grade a bit here and cut some here and add some effects here and be all over the place. After importing my footage, I just drag them to my timeline and I just begin cutting. Cutting can easily take up to an hour for a talking head session, but it'll even take longer if you're not focused on a single part of the process. So if I'm cutting, I'll just cut for an hour's worth of footage from start to finish before I add titles, effects, or even color grade. And then I'll go through it again to make sure that I cut and have the best clips possible. And I have no awkward pauses or spaces, and that I actually make sense when I talk. If I'm talking, anyway. Along your edit, you've probably been inspired with visions of how your edit can turn out based on the clips that you've seen while cutting. One of the subtle things that you'll notice that when you edit is that also another thing is while you're working through your timeline, you may also get inspiration for how your edit can actually turn out. So for me, once I've seen all the best clips that I've put together, I start to get a better sense of what the final edit could actually be. Then in the end, all I have to do is just add titles, effects, generators, B-roll, and all that good stuff. It's just sprinkled at the end. Again, just batch your tasks for your workflow and don't get all spread out and carried away with your editing. Cut, 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 if that's what you mean to do, and then do every little bit at a time. All right, next up, playback speed. Make it 2 times fast. If you're like me, you probably watch your TV shows and maybe even your movies with a playback speed of 2 times speed. And I apply this same principle to my editing as well. As much as I want to watch my playback at 1 time speeding to make sure that it makes sense, I also want to save time by not watching my edit from beginning to end. I save my time by watching 2 times speed by also putting my playhead just before the portion that I just finished editing. Like if I'm editing a section that's like 1 minute in, I'm just gonna put my playhead just a couple seconds before that. And then just trust that whatever I put in the first minute was already fine. Save yourself the trouble and don't watch everything from the beginning of the timeline. And if you watch it a billion times, maybe consider watching it in 2 times speed. Number 5, I think it's number 5. Keeping your files together. So how do you organize your files? Because as simple as it is, it's quite easy to have your files located in different places. Your footage could still be on your SD card, your music could be in your downloads folder, and your old B-roll and photos could be laying around in your pictures folder. Just in case I ever want to edit my project from one computer to another, like from my desktop to my laptop, or want to have a backup of my project files, I make sure to make a dedicated folder for each project. And then of course when I'm done, I can choose to delete the folder, or I can archive them when I'm finished. Number 6, use presets. Wouldn't it just be easy to drag and drop things onto your timeline to make your video look amazing? Well, it's a lot of what I already do. Titles, generators, effects, transitions. These are all important parts of the typical videos today. Once you decide that you want to give your videos a more personalized and unique look, you're going to look for the presets that you can use for yourself. No sense in taking the preset that already comes with the software and manually typing in what kind of text that you want to use, what font styles that you want to use, what icons you want to use. Just have it made for yourself. drag and drop. If you're fancy, you can even make or even edit your own titles via After Effects or Motion 5. You can use After Effects on both Windows and Mac. Motion 5 is just limited to Mac. In the beginning, my titles weren't too fancy, so I just put some together for myself with my own specific font styles that I used over and over again. The kinds of titles that I used were subtitles, centered titles, and titles on the left or the right. Well, my left and my right, or whatever you see, left, right, whatever. I also even organized my own generator, like this. Very minimalist. If that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, linked in the description for some of my favorite titles and generators that I've downloaded from Envato. Not sponsored, I just love the products that I see featured there. I think this is 7. Use the audio waves. Cutting with the audio waves. Have you paid much attention to these waves down here in the clips? Besides knowing how loud or quiet the clip is, you can actually use this to start cutting your videos faster. Unless you intentionally want to include moments in your video that have pauses, you don't even have to look at your mouth move. You can already just see the waveform diminishing, and then when you start talking again. Just put your playhead where the audio wave starts spiking up and talks for a while, cut through that to make sure it makes sense, and then move on through the silence that you weren't even speaking in. You can save a whole bunch of time that way. Using this method, it made it so much easier for me to cut my tennis clips together. Because anytime my opponent or I would serve, there would always be a huge spike. And I could tell, oh, someone's serving. Just a little tidbit. If you've made it this far in the video and you still don't like the idea of editing, I want to reward you with a bonus tip that saved me hours of editing time with a click of a button. But before I do that, I want to know, what editing software are you using and how long does it usually take for you to edit your videos? Alright, bonus tip, Recut. This is a software that cuts out the silent portions of your videos. You can change the parameters of what you want it to cut, how much space you want to give in between the talking segments, and you can choose to export a timeline from that software with all the cuts made. Or you could just export the whole video right then and there with all the cuts made. No big deal, one whole clip. This is going to be more beneficial for the talking head videos and maybe even video podcasts. This right here is like the shiny new boba drink for the new time editors to try. Especially if you're a solo creator, this is gonna help you out big time. You can cut not only video, but also audio with a click of a button. Then when it's done, you can preview the whole clip here too. If you're not quite ready to hire an editor to do most of the work for you, this is a great alternative. These kinds of talking head videos, they take me about like 30 minutes to record. Imagine if I had to sort through all this footage and watch at 1x speed and not even use all these editing tips, it would take me at least hours. Using Recut, I just saved myself 30 to 45 minutes editing through a talking head video like this. For those of you who are familiar with me, I use Mac, but fortunately, this software has also been made available to Windows as well. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. As amazing as Recut is, you'll also have a kick out of this video over here. Or check out my other videos over here. Thanks again for watching. Now go out there and shoot for the life that matters. See ya!